Welcome back to the Battery Podcast. I'm Aidan,
And I'm Jack.
and we are here to get you ready for the Cannons week. I think we're calling it 8 matchup against the Maryland Whipsnakes down in Baltimore. They're homecoming for the Whips, so they'll take on the Water Dogs Saturday, August 3rd at 1, and then take on the Cannons Sunday at 3. That'll be on ABC. So if you're not able to make it to Maryland or to our watch party, um, definitely go to your TV. It'll be there, or ESPN Plus, of course. Um, and we're joined by several members of the Snake Pit, the Whipsnake supporter group. Came back, didn't scare them away after how that week 2 game went. So Jack, anything else to add before we bring on the Snake Pit?
No, I don't think so. Let's just get into it.
All right, here's our conversation with the Snake Pit. And we are very excited to welcome Matt and Micah from the Snake Pit, the Whipsnake supporter group. It's been a while. A lot has happened since you two were last on. So thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us again. You guys have been on a little bit of a run since the last time, so maybe we'll get that bump this time around.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to start is, when we last spoke, that was after week 1. So we were both 0-1 at that point. Since then, teams have kind of gone in two different directions. As you said right before we started, Cannons have gone 6-1. The Whips, I think, have gone, what, 2-3?
Be 3-3.
3-3. They're 4-3 now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we were
no,
all in one going
three and
into it as
four.
well. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just probably not the season you guys were envisioning or hoping for, but what have your thoughts been so far now that we're going into I think it's week the PL is calling it week 9, but it's the 8th week of regular season games.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit up and down as the record shows 3-4, -4 goal differential, so hovering right around that 500 mark.
Yep.
But I definitely think there's been, a lot of positives. Obviously, the second time around versus the Atlas, kind of like what you guys saw. We're
Oh
able to
yeah.
get that revenge
Yeah.
game. So, in conference, we've beaten the Atlas and the Water Dogs, and to play the Cannons and the Water Dogs again this weekend. So that part's solid. Getting a couple guys healthy, Dordovic back the last 2 weeks has been huge. Couple contributions the first week back, but then the 3-2 bombs last week were obviously the difference in that Redwoods game. So you're starting to see it pick up too. Like Ajax, has jumped up the last couple weeks, got a goal last week. I think he's tied for 5th in the league right now in cost turnovers. Don the same way, he's gotten a couple goals now. So you got kind of it's spread out. So up and down, but definitely optimistic. With getting guys back and starting to find a rhythm together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. Getting Dordovic back has been huge. I mean, it's so different in the midfield now.
Yeah.
So that's a big help.
Yeah, I mean, that was I obviously wanted to talk about that. Like what a monster performance he had. He was all right in his first game back in Fairfield, but just a incredible performance against the Redwoods with, as you said, 3 2-pointers, which ties the PLL single game record. And then I think he had a 1. And did he have any? I think he finished with 7 points, so that would be all of that. But I mean, monster game. And as much as I love my boy Ethan Rawl. Like that is definitely you see why he won Rookie of the Year with a performance like that.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, it's been awesome, and I think it's going to help those other guys too. Hopefully, the next couple weeks we can get a consistent lineup. People get used to playing with each other. But I could see Channy having another big game here in the next couple weeks with those guys being on the line together. If Dordovic starts to draw the double teams, you got the dump off there.
Yeah.
I think letting Levi run and kind of being the main point man on that line too has worked out. And then, Poitras, Chorus, Heacock didn't play this last week, but can definitely step back in and rip. Like, I think it's going to open up lots of options there. And, definitely with a double header and, hopefully playoff home stretch behind, after that, let those other guys operate too. So it's been huge.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
things are good for the Whips, which they looked kind of listless for a little bit, especially when that game that Rambo missed, and then no Heacock last week either. But yeah, season's turn. I mean that performance against the Woods was incredible. And the fact that you guys get 2 chances this weekend especially against a not very good Water Dogs team, it looks like. which is a whole nother story. I kind of wish we were playing the woods again, or the dogs again, so we could get the canine crew to just.
It's probably its own hour-long podcast on that one, on what's going on with.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Complete dysfunction.
Yeah,
It's
but,
insane what's
I
going
saw.
on with that team.
Yeah, if they lose and a couple other Western teams win, they can be eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Wow.
So hopefully you guys do your part, because as much as I hated the Whipsnakes for winning the first 2 titles, I gotta hate Philly more.
Yeah, definitely not rooting
for,
not rooting for a Whipsnakes sweep this weekend, obviously, but would love to see you guys take one home on Saturday if you could take care of that.
We're in agreement on the first one. We'll wait to Sunday to see how number 2 goes.
We'll see. Exactly. How do you feel about having 2 games this weekend? Obviously that's a marquee thing with homecoming. How do you feel about the team going into it, though?
Michael, I'll let you go first, and then.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I think this Maryland team, like mostly being Maryland guys, that hometown feel is a little different maybe for some of the other rosters and teams. Like this is going to be a homecoming weekend. And I think the spark for those guys, especially playing like Eastern Conference rivals, it's going to be pretty big. The opportunity to eliminate possibly the champions, former champions, like I think that's going to be really exciting. And then just again, like Matt was saying, like with the depth we have coming back with Dordovic, especially, like feel a lot better about this offense now. So, but I'd like to see some goals this weekend.
Yeah, I think you will. I mean, well, you got twice as many chances to see goals, but Philly's playing, and just that offense looks so much more revitalized.
I think it'll be good. Like I said, I think the energy is going to be high. Like looking forward to seeing that. Obviously, there'll be a bunch of family and friends in town for the players, but I'll let you guys comment to see if you saw this. But it seems like kind of as that weekend's going along, those people that are there kind of as the neutral crowd from the area are starting to really adopt their hometown teams.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to see that, too, with a lot of, Whipsnakes gear getting bought from that PLL tent, people really getting into it. And hopefully some of the fun little giveaways and stuff we have planned will build into that. So, hopefully a good start against the Water Dogs will really get the crowd into it and get people pumped for the weekend. And then, then Sunday, a big Eastern Conference game where really like those seedings, they're all over the place. Like right now, our big one is to obviously get enough wins to get into the playoffs, but there's still a chance to get into one of those top 4 seeds, which is huge for us. If we can have champ series here, again in February, getting the winners there would be nice, and just having that momentum going into the playoff time too. You guys are right there on that 1 seed, so whether or not you get that bye, is huge on your end. So I think Sunday's game could be one of the more intense ones we've seen so far this season.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I know I heard Stag say, or I heard Rambo say that every game for you guys is a playoff game, and you definitely, and it's a playoff game for the Dogs as well, because they're absolutely fighting for their lives. And then like you said, the Cannons, want to keep showing the class of the East. You got to assume the Atlas are going to keep winning, so they got to keep winning as well. Even though Jack and I have said we kind of don't want the Cannons to have the 1, because 1, we want to see them in Foxborough, and 2, we don't want to have that long between games. But how mad can you really be if they get the 1 seed?
The beggars can't be choosers. I guess
that trade off of like the rest versus the rust. So
exactly. That's the concern, I think, for sure. But what about what about this game specifically, the Cannons and Whipsnakes, that as we talked a little bit, Tucker Dordovic is back. Your offense is looking a lot different than what it looked like in that week 2 matchup. So what do you think it is going to be different this week? Kind of what do you think the team learned both from that game and just throughout the season that is going to make this a different matchup this week?
Yeah, the 2 big ones I think are going to be turnovers and ground balls. If we can clean those up for the Whips, I think that's going to be huge. It's almost like a surprising stat being a 3-4 team, but I think the Cannons' first game around was the only time the Whips have been outshot this season. So it's definitely been a team predicated on ball control, and being able to rip. They're willing to take those possession shots or those extra shots that keep you on your toes. But if you're turning the ball over or not winning the ground balls, you don't get those. I think that was kind of the huge difference in the second half is the Cans were able to control those balls, and the times Whipsnakes didn't get possession, maybe started to force it a little bit when they got behind. So if we can get those 50-50 balls and control it and have everything end in a shot, whether it's a goal or a save, but if we can at least end it in a shot, I think that puts the Whips in a lot better position. Same even on the face-off is, Nardel's been so good this year, and was like 56% in game one. But if you look at he got almost everyone he won, he got the ground ball. So if we can get those wings to step up and get a couple of those 50-50 ones and take some possessions away from the Cannons offense, and you guys got some bombers on there, so we can minimize those possessions. I think that's going to be kind of the way the game's won and lost. And so, the Maryland side, it's our hope is that we're getting all those 50-50 ground balls, and that intensity and hometown crowd helps us stay in it that way.
Yeah. I think I would say just familiarity. Nardella's back. He's had a few games. Last game, it was his first game back. So he's had a few games to kind of settle in, get back into that rhythm. And then Zappatello, Matt touched on it earlier, but he's more comfortable. That was his second game as a pro. He was just coming off a championship weekend. It's a different Zappatello, it seems, the past couple weeks. So having those two guys back, having Krebs kind of step into that starter position, all good things from my end. And then, of course, broken record, having Dordovic back is massive for the midfield.
Yeah. That's a great point you made, that so many of your key players just must feel so much more comfortable, right? Because that was Krebs' first start. It was Zappatello's second start. It was Nardella's first start.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are individually.
Anderson wasn't in the lineup yet.
Yeah.
Right. Levi Anderson.
Wow.
Dordovic obviously still hurt.
Right.
Yeah, where you still have your stalwarts in Rambo and Zed, but just as a lot of turnover for that Whipsnakes team. I know Dan Aresti has been saying every time that it's a roster kind of in transition. And I know even Rambo on his one-on-ones with the Rabels said that he was feeling like he's not a young guy anymore, which is crazy. I definitely still think of him as not old, but yeah,
he's 30
for a while, yeah. And playing
he hit the benchmark.
Physical style of play too. So
yeah, he's not running by anyone.
No,
definitely that
his body takes a toll.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
What about on the defensive end? We talked about Rambo's a stud. Tucker Dordovic coming back. That was Krebs' first start. That first game. How do you guys feel about Krebs' season thus far? Do you like that you went away from Burton-Lore? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to take anything from Kyle. He's a championship goalie at the college and professional level. And awesome guy to have there if we need him, at any point later in the season too. But I think Krebs has been playing great. I think, he's stepped into it. If you look at, he's right around 50% on the actual save percentage. But if you look at some of the advanced metrics, like the saves against average and some of that stuff, he's a little bit higher up in there. And he seems to be good for that big save when you need it. Case in point, the first win of the year against the Water Dogs, Stone and McCardle right there on the doorstep. I think he's brought that energy, and he's he's a little bit more physical goalie coming out and making some plays too. So sometimes that helps get the defense there. And I think it kind of feeds into the defense as a whole, is that it's a little less of that scrum it up play, the 8-7, 9-8 game. There's gonna be a little bit more risk takers, maybe we'll play a little bit higher, but we're gonna go cause turnovers, get out in transition, let the poles shoot, and maybe try to win a game 13-12 instead of 9-8. So I think stylistically, it's evolved as this season's gone, but I think those guys are starting to feel more and more comfortable playing together. And if you just looking at the numbers for Dunn and Ajax in front of him, that matches in with Krebs and Timmy Muller and all those guys are starting to get a rhythm, and we've brought in extra short stick D-Midi. Again, just that time together. It's hard in a 10-game season, but hopefully it's a sign of those guys starting to gel together at the right time.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. And then just back to what I said about Zappatello. Zappatello being more confident. Krebs being more confident as the leader. That week 2 game was his first start, and it was also kind of like is this temporary? It seems like he's taken over, so just the gelling on the back end seems to be coming around a lot.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think the Chaos offenses had their issues too, but when I saw them in Fairfield, like that 10-9 game was some sloppy play, like you mentioned, the turnovers that they need to get away from. But I mean, to go basically toe to toe with the best goalie in the world and a stellar defense as well, and Reardon and the Chaos was I mean, I think a great sign for the Whipsnakes on the back end. And the front end, not so much. That was probably a game they'd like to forget a little bit, but um yeah, it's been a kind of a, would you say, a tale of two seasons, or like of two halves of the year for the Whips?
I hope so. Right. So it was I thought they played a pretty complete game against, a fired up Redwoods team. Got some guys back as well. And every time, the Redwoods started to make a run, we were able to counter punch. But we'll see how this weekend goes. If they can come out and play well, get a couple wins this weekend, then definitely I think
Yeah.
it shows it. So cautiously optimistic on that, but I'm hoping that that's the case. Is the first half of the season, a lot of roster turnover, figuring it out, letting new guys in, and second half really gelling and playing as a complete team.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. And so this is the sixth homecoming of the year. Only the Atlas have gone 2-0. Only the Water Dogs have gone 0-2. So 1-1 seems to be the norm. However, the Cannons also were the only team to win the second game and lose the first. Um, Probably still too
Right.
small sample size to draw any real conclusions, but I mean, I think, especially given how cursed the Water Dogs have been this year, I definitely like your chances of getting a win. Famous last words. Hopefully they don't beat our boys. But yeah, it'll be a fantastic couple of games, I think. I mean, some of the greatest lacrosse minds for sure. And
Yeah, I think we're super excited. I don't, even though there's only one team that's gone 2-0, like you look at all those games that the hometown teams have lost, like there's been a lot of really competitive, really
yeah,
intense lacrosse. So I think, I think these guys want to get out and play and want to put on a good show. And so I don't think, while you're tired, I think they're able to push that off until after the game. So I think they're going to be two pretty intense ones here again Saturday and Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you expect any roster changes between games? I think most, but not all teams have done that. I guess it's maybe not fair. The rosters haven't come out yet, but the question still stands.
Yeah, so I would expect PD's been on there most of the season, so I wouldn't be shocked if you know at the Fogo spot if they split games between
Yeah, that'd be
Nardella
interesting.
and PD to give Nardella a little bit of a break there. It's a lot of wear and tear to go 2 games in a row.
For sure.
Yep.
Right.
And he's been solid, too. The first game against Baptiste was a little bit of a struggle, but if you look at how he's able to step in, last season he did well. So I wouldn't be shocked there. And then I was leaning towards the roster kind of being pretty much the same 21 man that we saw last week, with maybe Heacock splitting with Poitras or Chorus, shifting in
Yeah.
at the midfield there. But they went back out and brought Kennedy back, so maybe they're thinking more defensive guy, get 3 LSMs on there and let 2 guys run one game and do a switch up. So one of those two. I think it'll be a midfield switch. I just don't know if it'll be offensive or defensive.
Yeah, which you think from a wear and tear factor, that definitely makes sense. 6 polls would be interesting. I think the only time we ever saw that was last year with the face-off rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cannons and Dogs, and maybe one other team trying that. But yeah, that'd be fun. Hopefully that
What do
I don't know.
you think for you guys? You guys, fairly consistent roster, but a little bit of change at the attack, especially with the Cavs
Yeah.
swapping in and out. So any big
Oh,
changes for the Cannons this week?
don't get Jack started on the
Oh,
Mayday
baby.
soapbox.
Oh, baby. Yeah, no, for real though, that is a really interesting point. We seemed pretty set at attack those first couple of weeks. Obviously, Ash at X, Mark on the right side, and you had Matt on the left side. Wasn't great. I think it was 3 weeks that we had him starting down there. Week 4, we gave Robinson a shot. He didn't do anything, so you throw Matt back on for our homecoming. And then we had him there again for Fairfield. And then finally, Pat Cav comes back. He was solid last week. I think he obviously I think it's still taking some time. You know, even though he's in the meetings all season long, I guess every week. So he's probably understanding the offense in his brain. It's just not the same as going out there and performing it on the field. And with how little practice time these guys have in the league, it's
Yeah.
going to be tough for him to truly mesh. So I would be interested to see Pat from a purely lacrosse standpoint. I think I want Pat Cav back out there again this weekend, give him a second week in a row of playing in the offense, seeing how he can mesh with the guys at his natural attack spot. I don't think running him out of the midfield is the answer, which obviously they tried earlier in the year. However, since the day that I can't believe we didn't already talk about this, since the day that you guys cut Will Manny, I have been calling for the Cannons to sign him and bring our boy home.
Yep.
Thank God we signed him. The day that happened, I was ecstatic. And then they didn't put him on the roster in Fairfield. I was like, okay, that's fine. We just signed him. You know, he needs a little bit of time to adjust. And then last week he's on the protected roster. So at least he traveled. But I'm like, when are we going to see Will Manny? So from
I think
the
you'll definitely see him in the Utah game. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he makes it this week.
Well, that's what I want to see, is especially with the matchup this weekend. Like if Will Manny makes the lineup this week, you know, you get a little bit of that. Oh, like you guys think you didn't need me? Like I'll show you. So I'm really curious if that happens, to see that storyline and see for him to have his first game back against the Whips will be pretty interesting. Because I mean, obviously, yeah, your offense has been in flux. You know, TJ Malone came out of the gates hot, and I think he leads the team in touches, but like I would say it's still a question mark of, was that the right move? What do you guys think on that end, though? Are you happy with Malone there on attack now, or do you wish you still had Manny?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with Malone there. I think he's really stepped up. I'm still a little surprised that they didn't keep, Manny around, especially with the number of guys who've gone through in the midfield, that they didn't play around with that a little bit more. Or Zed running out of there. He's been willing to go out of the midfield. He's really coming back down to attack. He's really come on strong here the last couple of games. Looking back, more like classic Zed, being able to muscle guys and shooting up the league in points pretty quickly. So they look comfortable together. But I definitely was surprised they didn't keep Manny around a little bit longer to see if there's some combo, between those four guys.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, just with like the not necessarily with Malone. I think Malone was a great pick. I think he fits well. He brings a different skill set to that offense next to Zed and Rambo. But yeah, I think Manny also brings a different skill set than, say, like Chorus, even though he's more kind of short stick D midi, or Fortress on attack. So that kind of surprised me. But yeah, I think this would be the weekend that Coach Holman would put Manny back in.
Yeah.
I could definitely see
so.
Yeah, which worries me a little bit. Worries me a little bit.
I also heard a little bit about a battery bomb. So do you guys got any previews? Who's the you guys got speak of a guy we got to look out for?
Well, so the only players we've had on still are Trainer and Verdarin. So both of them were pretty quiet against the Outlaws. I think Trainer had an assist, but that's all.
Yeah, he assisted Pat's goal.
Yeah, that's right. So not as much maybe a delayed bump, but I mean, I would say you got to be in lookout. I mean, Trainer the last couple games had been really like looking for stuff in transition, and I love the way that the Cannons are letting their D mids either like really push transition or stay on offense for a little bit. It's been, I mean, obviously it's fun to see our boy, the governor, Jeff Trainer, get some goals, especially getting a 2-pointer with it. Jack, isn't he a natural lefty?
Trainer?
Yeah.
I don't know actually.
Okay. Because he scored the 2-pointer right-handed, and I swear he was a natural lefty. And if so, like props to him of a D mid scoring an
Offhand.
offhand
Yeah.
pointer. Verdaro's had this play that, hopefully the Whipsnakes aren't listening, where he'll basically just cut behind the crease, lose his man, and be like catch the pass just as he's getting to GLE. It's been, it's not revolutionary or anything, but I think that's how all of his goals have come on that same play. Which I'm sure the Whips know about, but knowing about it and stopping it are a different thing. Hopefully he pulls that off at least once. Because that's what he's what, 5 goals in the 4 games now since he's been on.
You know what I would watch out for is to that point of D mids and just a lot of guys being part of the offense. Someone who hasn't scored this year is Bubba Fairman.
Yeah.
So Maryland boy coming home, Coach Holman really featured Jeff Trainer in our homecoming. He really got a lot of run on offense and did well with it, and I think that has carried through. But he played way more offense in that in the homecoming weekend than he had up until that point. So does Coach
He's a natural
Holman
attackman too. He's
true?
he
Yeah, that's
started
right.
to grow that attack as a freshman. So
Yeah.
So I'm like, does Bubba get some
Mhm.
a little bump like, hey Bubba, you're gonna play more offense this week. Like,
Yeah.
stay out there. And do we see Bubba kind of go off in front of the Maryland fans? Like,
it's a good
maybe.
point. Yeah, Bubba and Will Manny. It's
Yeah.
definitely
I know.
some pride and trash talk.
Yeah, Will Manny's
Yeah.
also a guy who loves to play with a chip on his shoulder.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think like he will get a hat trick just to spite the Whipsnakes if they put him on.
True.
It's like I
Yeah.
don't even care about winning. I just need to show them that they messed up.
Right.
And I love it. I think that's a very Boston way to play. So, Jack, I know you've been on the Will Manny train. I haven't been on it as much as you, but I really hope he gets back in the lineup this week.
There we go.
As much as I want Pat Cav long term.
Hop on board.
Yep.
Until he plays, the train is welcome.
You guys probably not
yeah.
want to join the Will Manny train. I would guess.
We'll let him get a hat trick if that's the only 3 goals the Cannons score all day. I'll take it.
Very diplomatic. There you go.
How kind
I think
of
Will
you,
Manny
sir.
might be fine with that.
But what so how about maybe we should just wrap it up with some score predictions. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Works.
Go ahead.
Micah, go for it.
All right. I think the first game was a good game. I think the third quarter the Whips went scoreless. So if we can kind of get over that slow start hump, which I think we can, adding 2 new offensive midfielders, I think we'll score like 16. And I think the Cannons get theirs too. I think the Cannons end up with 14, 13. So Whips taking it in a high score, I think.
Okay.
I agree with the higher scoring than the first time. I think it's going to be kind of that heavyweight battle, blow for blow. I could see a couple 2-pointers each way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Whips 14-13.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree with the sentiment. Obviously, disagree with the teams in the order there. I definitely think there'll be a few more goals because I just can't see either offense getting held scoreless for 22 minutes again. So I'll basically flip that around. I'll say 14-12 Cannons.
All right. And I actually will be breaking the trend then. For me, I know these offenses are so good, but like we talked about, Krebs and Ajax getting more comfortable. And I've been saying this for most of the season as well, that I think Colin Kearse is the most underrated goalie in the league. He is a stud, and I just feel like he doesn't get his flowers enough at the league level. So I'm gonna go 11-9 Cannons. I don't think Hurst is gonna give up double digits.
Oh, that's hot. I mean,
Jack's hammering the under this week.
yeah,
I am hammering the under.
that's a very good. The most he's given up in a game has been 11 since that Atlas game, right?
Yeah, if you throw out that 19 to the Atlas, I think the most he's given up all season is 11. Sounds right.
All right.
So yeah, we'll see. It's been a couple tens, couple nines, and only 3 2-pointers, which it was one until last week. Maybe jinxed him a little bit against the Outlaws, but
yeah, I hope I didn't just jinx him right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll be.
Well, I mean, we've been singing his praises all year.
True.
According to me, a completely unbiased source, he is the goalie of the year.
Exactly. But awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for
cool.
coming on.
Well, we appreciate you having us, and anybody who's out there in Maryland, if you're watching, come by. Thursday night we're at the Green Turtle, and Saturday, Sunday we'll be tailgating and out there along the field. So come say hi and join us over in the Snake Pit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And for anyone, we haven't mentioned on air. We put on the on Instagram where we're watching this game from, Jack.
We have not. More details to come. We are still finalizing logistics, but we are planning on doing I don't actually know. Probably shouldn't say it yet, just because we don't have it
if you're up in New
officially
England,
nailed down.
check it out.
Just
watch
stay tuned
Instagram
to Instagram.
They're fun guys.
Yeah,
exactly. We've got something fun in the works for the game this weekend.
Yeah, little different vibe than our previous one.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming on. We'll see you in the stands Sunday at 3.
On ABC, right?
On ABC, yes. Yeah, if you're in Maryland or Virginia or Delaware or Southern Pennsylvania, head down to Baltimore, check out 4 amazing lacrosse games Saturday and Sunday. I think it's 3:00 start both days, right?
1:00 start on Saturday, 3:00 start on Sunday.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah. So get down there to Baltimore bright and early Saturday and crack of 1. And get ready for some amazing lacrosse. Hopefully the Dogs will be eliminated from the playoffs, and the Cannons will keep their climb to the top of the East alive, and the Whips maybe will join them there. Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks,
guys. And thanks again to the boys from the Snake Pit for coming on. Always good chopping it up with them. Are they our first repeat?
No, we had Outside the Box twice.
Oh, you're right. We first supporter group repeat.
Yes,
the first had on the pod.
Yep.
Wow. That's right.
Well,
I knew we'd had a repeat somewhere.
Yeah, we had 2 people from the Stampede, but it wasn't. Actually, no, we didn't. We didn't.
No, we didn't. That because we had trainer.
Yeah.
That week. Yeah.
So first and only. Because the 2 remaining games are against the Chaos and the
that's right. Yeah, the second Stampede game or the second Atlas game we had Jeff Trainer, and the second Water Dogs game we had OTB.
Yeah, and then their only game after this will be against the Chaos, or their only regular season game. Because they will be into the playoffs.
That's right. We are officially going to the playoffs, so there is a chance that we will have a rematch.
Yeah,
probably. Well, very likely. We play every team, so we're guaranteed to have a rematch of some sort, at least one game. We just don't know which team, so we don't know.
Not the Water Dogs.
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah. Dilly question mark.
Or who?
Dilly.
Oh, yeah.
But so we maybe we'll have a repeat guest again later. Maybe not.
I think the standings they are now, we play the Whips again. Actually, no, it switched to Denver.
Did it?
Yeah, I think with the Whips win and Denver loss.
Okay.
Or maybe that's not. Yeah,
Let me pull that up right now real quick as we load,
Cannons
because
would play
we would be the 3 seed, which Carolina is 4, Maryland is 5, and Denver is 6. So we would get an Outlaws rematch if the season ended today. So Max, maybe he come back.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Do we finally get the Will Manny Eric Law game then? But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're
We need
getting
to
way
get
ahead of ourselves.
we need to get a Will Manny game first, as we alluded to in that conversation with
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
yeah, fingers
Third
crossed.
time's the charm.
Yeah, I mean, why put him on the roster if you're not gonna address him, right? Carter Parlett. He's been the protected roster the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if Holman didn't think he would get in the lineup, I don't think he would have signed him. It is just a question of when. And like we said, Pat Cav is the future, but you got to see what you got in Will Manny. And like I said with the snake bit, he will score 3-4 goals just out of spite.
Right.
And
so
it's 3 goals closer to winning.
Exactly. So the question really is, do you play him in Maryland, or do you just,
Or
Utah, like there's no real, like he traveled to San Diego. It's not like I know he lives in Utah, so it's easier for him to just play when they're already in Utah, but like everybody travels and he just traveled, so it's not, I don't see why he would. I don't know. Utah's closer to San Diego than Utah is to Maryland, but I don't know why location of the game would matter when he plays.
Yeah, and I mean so the Cannons have their bye week after this, and then Utah, and then it's another like 2 weeks until the playoffs. So
right,
you're testing him out in Utah. That's the last game. That means it's August 4th to September 2nd is if he doesn't stay in the lineup, and you don't want whether it's Pat Cav or Matt Cav or Mike Robinson to have a month off in between games. So
right.
I'm Brian Holman's the guy we got to convince, but I'm arguing myself into Holman or into Manny playing this week.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. This is all moot. It'll be decided without us, and probably not by the time you're listening to this, unless you're listening to it on Saturday. But yeah, we'll be pushing for that until it happens. And Jack, I will, for you to get so close if he doesn't wind up dressing this year.
Oh my gosh, don't even speak that into existence. The high that I felt when they signed him would just utterly crater if I just get teased like this and not get to see Will Manny back in a Cannons uniform.
Yeah, I would too. I think that would be true of a lot of Boston fans who remember him from his elite MLL days.
Those were the best, because those were some lean years with the Cannons too. There were some tough seasons.
Yeah,
in there, some like 3-8 seasons.
Yeah.
I was looking back through it when I was doing the trivia on Tuesday, seeing all the years that they made the playoffs, and some of those mid 2010s years, I forgot just how rough those years were, and the low win totals and high loss totals was it was tough. It was a tough time to be a Cannons fan.
It was. I went
Not
to
so tough right now, though.
Nope, pretty good. I mean, we had some tough years in the early 2020s as well.
That we did. We did have a tough time adjusting to the PLL, but last year turned around, Champ Series, and now first team to clinch a playoff spot. Alice have also clinched, but because we played the first day, we were the first ones. So take that, New York. We clinched a playoff spot before you did.
Yeah. How's your goal differential look now?
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll see. The Atlas, it's weird. I was, setting my fantasy lineup today and was like, all right, well, I'm definitely taking Dixon and or Baptiste because they've been such money, but this is finally the Atlas buy. So it'll be weird not seeing them. definitely a chance. I mean, the Cannons will catch them in goal differential a little bit, but then probably give it back next week when the Atlas play and the Cannons don't. But it'll be a weird weekend. I wonder what Carcaterra and everyone will talk about without Schellenberger and Teat to gush over. I mean, it'll just be even more Brennan O'Neill stuff, I assume.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, we'll talk about will Manny be back.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Will Manny, and then
He'll save the day.
They are going to talk about the amazing lacrosse culture that Maryland has. I mean, I got to think that's the state that has the most players. I mean, it's either that or New York, but it just seems like everyone is from Maryland.
Yeah. I feel like I would put my money on Maryland.
Yeah,
it's literally their state sport. I would put my money on Maryland.
Yeah, so we'll
Hall
see.
of Fame weekend this weekend too. That'll be cool to see Kyle Sweeney and the other guys going.
Yeah,
Cannon's legend.
Yeah, Kyle Sweeney was a guy I loved watching when I was
growing up.
younger. Yeah. Just one of those guys that makes you want to play LSM or makes you love the position. Like is he and who am I thinking of? Oh, Brody Merrill, obviously. And and then turn into Earhart and Rawl, like just guys who are so athletic, getting up and down the field, can play offense. Scott Ratliff, oh my god, when Scott Ratliff was a Cannon.
Oh my goodness, that is a name I have not thought about. Talk about Will Manny's boy though.
Yeah, very good friends.
Oh,
all right, we've just turned into the meme of guys just sitting around naming old athletes.
Yeah, so
I'm sure they don't bristle at being called old. So I think that's a good sign that we should wrap it up here.
Probably.
Yeah, so we will have details for our watch party event coming in
soon.
Yeah, hopefully around the time that you're seeing this, not too much after.
Stay tuned to Instagram.
Yeah, we will be very excited for that. I think it's going to be a big success. But if you're not in the Boston area or you can't make it wherever we're going, we definitely hope you'll be watching. Again, it's on ABC, so put it on your TV. If you don't have a TV, go to a bar or restaurant, order a glass of water, and have them put it on their TV. And enjoy the Cannons continuing to climb that playoff standings.
Yeah, and let's do it, baby.
Some great lacrosse.
Yeah, should be a good one. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we hope to see you on Sunday, but if we don't, go Cannons.
Go Cannons.
Boom.